Welcome back to the practice of magic. In our last lesson, we practiced one of the foundational skills of magic, attention. In this lesson, we are going to practice something that may sound a little strange. We're going to practice casting. We aren't going to practice casting a spell this week. We are going to practice the skill of casting itself. That may seem like an odd thing to practice. After all, how can you practice casting if there isn't even a spell? The answer is the same way a golfer practices putting without playing in a tournament. The same way a pitcher practices throwing without standing on the mound. The same way a violinist will practice scales without performing a concerto. The same way a singer practices vocal exercises before singing an aria. Every craft develops important techniques in isolation before they become part of the performance. These drills don't replace their art, they quietly make the art better. Magic is no different. This may feel unusual at first because most magical instruction teaches complete magical operations. Here, we are isolating one technique and developing it through a drill. When we perform a magical operation, whether we're working a psalm, chanting an incantation, visualizing, using a poppet, a charm, or some other magical method, we are intentionally creating and strengthening a thought form through focused attention. We continue our chosen work, often daily, until something changes within us. I often call that moment a click. The click isn't the manifestation, it's the quiet moment when you know that your thought form has been built. You get a sense of certainty or peace about the situation. Most people assume that this is the end of their magical operation, but it is not. I teach that there is one more essential technique. Once that thought form has been built, it must be cast. By casting, I mean deliberately casting this completed thought form from the conscious mind. Once it has been cast, then your work is finished. After you've cast it, the thought form must no longer live in your conscious mind. It must now continue its work without any interference from you. It must be left alone. It will find you again as the manifestation of your magical work. You must learn how to cast it. And that's what we're going to practice this week. We are going to practice the magical skill of casting using a simple drill. And this drill is called the box game. All you need is a small box. It can be any box. It doesn't need to be special. You can use a jewelry box, a shoe box, a wooden box, a recipe box, or any kind of box. The box itself is not important. It's simply there to help us practice the drill. You don't need to decorate it. You don't need to consecrate it. Choose one thought. It may be something you're worried about. It may be something that you desire deeply. It may be a decision you're trying to make. The content really doesn't matter. What does matter is that the thought naturally has a habit of demanding your attention. Don't spend a long time deciding on the thought. In fact, it's probably the one thought that came into your mind the moment I told you about it. Yes, that one. Write just a few words on a small piece of paper to represent this thought. Now place that paper into the box and close the lid. Now the drill begins. Perhaps in an hour, perhaps in a few minutes, or perhaps later this afternoon, that thought will return. We want it to, because every time it comes back, it gives you the opportunity to practice the skill of casting. When the thought returns, don't become frustrated, don't criticize yourself, don't argue with the thought, don't try to forget the thought. Just simply smile and quietly say, "Back in the box." If the thought returns 20 times, you have 20 opportunities to practice. You are not trying to stop the thought from returning. You're practicing what to do when it does. Every successful return to the box is another successful repetition of the drill. Every repetition strengthens the magical skill of casting. Let's just take a moment to notice what you will be practicing. At first, it may seem like you're practicing putting a thought into a box. But that's not really the whole exercise. The exercise is about practicing the magical skill of casting. We are just using this thought and the box as tools to practice this skill. So every time the thought returns, you have a choice. You can pick the thought up again, or you can cast it. That's the skill. Every time you smile and say, "Back in the box," you'll be practicing casting. You aren't trying to make the thought disappear. You're simply learning what to do when it does appear. This may not seem like a big deal at first, but every repetition strengthens the magical skill of casting. Little by little, casting becomes more natural and you become better at it. Eventually, it becomes your first response instead of your last. The thought returns, you smile, back in the box, and you continue with your day. You're not practicing having fewer thoughts. You're not practicing disassembling a thought. You're practicing knowing what to do with a thought that you've chosen every time it returns. Like every magical skill, casting becomes stronger through practice. And as your skills grow, so does your freedom. This week, I'd like for you to practice the box game every day. Choose one thought that naturally demands your attention, regardless of whether it's a problem, a desire, a decision, whatever. Don't spend a long time choosing each day. You'll probably know immediately which thought to use. Write a few words on a piece of paper that represents the thought, place it into your box, and close the lid. And then throughout the day, whenever the thought returns, simply smile and say, "What?" Back in the box, and then continue with whatever you were doing. Some days you may use the same thought. Other days you may choose a different one. The important thing isn't the thought itself. The important thing is practicing the skill. If you miss a repetition, don't worry, simply practice on the next one. Every repetition strengthens your magical skill of casting. This is a very brief lesson. Do not let that fool you. You're developing one of the foundational skills of magic. Many witches and magicians develop this skill naturally over years of practice. You have the opportunity to develop it deliberately. Spend the week with it. Practice it often, and let the repetitions quietly do their work. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope you enjoy this exercise. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click on that notification bell. I'll see you on our next lesson. Until then, blessed be.